purpose of this is today is we're going to talk about credit. I have thousands of people in and out of my office personally throughout the years who just don't understand credit. They don't understand the need for it until they need it actually. So I know Saunders, you have an extensive amount of knowledge and experience in credit, and I appreciate you being here with us today.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't even understand what credit is. They'll sit in my office, and I'm sure in yours as well at times, and they pay cash for all their life, and they think that's a great thing, and it is until you need credit. So Saunders, what can you tell us about credit?
And it's trust, it's belief, it's will you do what you say that you're going to do, and ultimately, building credit is this very similar to what you do when you build trust with anything. So
right, and credit is super important whether you're buying a house or a car. Things come up in life, and sometimes you just need to go get some money that you don't necessarily have on hand. And the importance of credit is absolutely can't be overstated. If you don't have credit, you certainly need to start building your credit, and that takes us right into the next point of how would someone that does not have credit or is young maybe or just always pay cash for something, how would they get established with starting their credit?
I would start small. We have at Coosa Valley Credit Union, we have small credit building programs, $100, $200, $300, $500, take out the loan, pay the payments, pay it off, take out a bigger loan, make the payments, pay it off.
Right.
And again, it's really credit is just the ability that you've demonstrated to pay your loans off over time. Building credit is just like building trust in a relationship. It's just you start slowly and prove yourself over time.
Right. There's a magic number, no matter what you want to do in life, when you're applying for credit, whether it's a home or auto or anything, that there's a minimum score, and I've actually seen scores as low as in the lower 300s,
right?
And I've seen scores in the upper echelons of upper 800s.
Right.
So obviously a median is in between those. But what would you say would qualify someone for credit?
Sure.
Moving forward for a major purchase?
It depends on the institution. It depends on the type of loan. Obviously, you need a little bit higher credit score to get a mortgage for a home, obviously, than you do for a small personal loan or for a car loan. And kind of how I like to think of it is kind of like grades in school, right?
Right.
You got A's, B's, C's, and D's,
right,
and then you got the F's, right? The important thing is not where you are, but what can you do to get your grades higher?
Right.
I would say, in general, good credit score is anything 700 or better.
Right.
That's going to be the best tier. That's going to be your A credit.
Right.
I would say that anything below 600 is going to be really challenging.
Right.
So I would say that 620, 650 is probably going to be your low minimum scores. Right. Not that having bad credit prevents you from getting a loan, but it surely does affect the cost of that loan. That's an important part.
So I can attest to that personally. So if you come into my dealership and you have a score that does not qualify for a primary lender like Coosa Valley, I have another program for you. It's going to be a secondary program. And to give you a rough example, I'm not quoting rates. If you come into my office and your score doesn't qualify for primary, which could be as low as, say, right now, maybe 3.9% on a used vehicle, and you don't qualify for that, your alternative to that is going to end up being in the 20s. Your interest rate is going to be in the 20s versus in the single digits, and it makes thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in difference that the dealer is not collecting that money. You're paying that money because of your credit history. So if you've made some mistakes, done something to mess your credit up, I want to encourage you to absolutely fix your credit, because it's going to cost you over your lifetime. It's going to cost you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and I would say that in my history, a lot of the big factors that appear on your credit report that have the biggest influence in your credit score are going to be things like collections,
Right.
Garnishment, judgments. So what we do is when we sit down with a borrower is we go over their credit report and we look at what we call easy wins, right? So is there an unpaid collection item? Maybe it's $200 or $150 from, an old phone bill that you had forgotten about it, but they reported it on your credit. That may make a huge difference on your credit score, but just go ahead and paying those off. Things that if you're maybe paying slow on your bills, advice is to go ahead and just catch those up and make sure that all the debt that you currently have is current. Get rid of the collection, any unpaid collections right now is number one. Number two is make sure all the debt you currently have is current. If the payments are too high, maybe we can refinance and give you a payment that you can make.
Right.
And then once you've established that you can pay your existing debt on time, and then that's where you're really going to start seeing your credit score move.
Right. And so I had a man that trained me back 25 years ago. He told me someone has to have the ability and the desire to pay back loans, right? They have to have both of those things. Right. So the ability and the desire. But I want to encourage you, if you've had issues with your credit, I would absolutely, what I would do is I would go to a Coosa Valley branch and I would sit down with one of their loan specialists or loan officers or branch managers, and I would talk to them, and they're more than willing to spend some time with you. Here is what happens if you can't make your payments on time, right? I think I have a repossession agreement that I get signed on every one of my deals, right? So we understand that if you don't pay for a car, you're just going to be repoed. If you foreclosure is, if you don't pay for your home, it's going to be foreclosed upon. But what does it do to a credit score to miss a payment?
Sure. Yeah, it's being late on a mortgage and a car are probably the worst things you can do to affect your credit score. So what I would do is if you feel like you're not going to be able to make your payment, I would encourage you to reach out to your lender early, communicate with them, say, hey, look, I'm probably not going to be able to make this payment. What can we do? What can we do to work this out? Can we do any payment deferrals? Can we do any payment reductions? Can we refinance the loan to something that's a little bit more affordable? It's embarrassing, and you don't want to. But I will tell you, the worst thing you can do is put your head in the sand and not do anything. Right. And together, we can figure out a way that will be hopefully not affect your credit at all. But if you do happen to be in a situation where you missed a couple of payments, communicate with your lender. Try to get back on a program where you can catch your payments back up. Because the worst thing that can happen on a credit report is a repossession or foreclosure. Those things stay on your credit for a long time, and they affect your credit for a long time.
And I can actually back that up. Back in the 90s when I got into this business, I was a collections manager for Georgia's largest finance company.
Okay.
And so I know what it's like for people to run. Okay, that's the worst thing you can do, guys, is just not call or we call it ghosting, right? Don't ghost your lender because it's going to end bad. Get in touch with the people that you owe the money to, because they're going to work with you. Listen, we understand we're people. We're not just robots and machines that loan money, and it's not everything's about money. We're here for people, and I know, especially, I don't mean to speak for the credit union, but I know that they are about people.
Absolutely.
And so get in touch with the person that's loaned you that money before it gets late and work out a plan. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I have people that come in, young people, and they say, well, I have a Verizon cell phone that I've been paying on, or I have the lights are in my name, and they're under the impression that could somehow give them good credit.
And the calculation that goes into the credit report is actually a proprietary algorithm that's owned by the credit reporting agencies themselves. So, but right now we're not seeing anything like rent payments, phone payments, utility payments influence the credit score at all. What we do know is that house payments and car payments primarily are going to have the hugest impact to your credit score, as far as paying or not paying. So again, it's better to get a small personal loan and start paying on that over time, and have that bank credit union report that on your credit report positively, because more positive credit reports are a lot better over time to increase that score.
That's right. And I can tell you guys this: they don't report the the different cell phone companies and the utility companies if you pay.
Mhm.
But if you don't pay, they report. Okay,
That's right.
so and this becomes an issue, and that's an obstacle that I have to jump through in my business a lot. Is that young people may have great credit history, but then they're going to have a Verizon or a different cell phone or maybe a power bill or utility bill that they haven't paid, and that has to be addressed before a prime lender will consider them. And listen, I'll be honest with you guys. I've seen it all. I've seen people who are 18 years old who come to me. They've never had their credit pulled, and they come to me, and I pull it, and I show them these things that are on their credit, and I've seen them turn ghost white and then look at me and say, "My mother put this in my name when I was 13 or 14 years old." And so, listen, I understand that sometimes things happen. People get put in bad situations and have to make bad decisions, or they do make bad decisions. They don't have to, but they do. And sometimes that can affect you of no fault of your own. So I want to encourage you, if you're in that situation as well, to absolutely reach out to my company or even Saunders Company, and we'd love to sit down and talk to you and try to help you if something's not your fault, right? If something is something's happened to you before you're 18, you can't sign a contract before you're 18. And so that takes a little bit of legwork on your behalf if somebody's done that to you, but it's definitely worth the time, I feel like, to get that off of there.
People make decisions, right? So at Coosa Valley Credit Union, we have empowered our lenders, especially our branch managers, to make decisions. And as we said at the beginning, credit is just trust.
Right.
And relationships are built between people.
Right.
And so I would encourage you, if you don't have a relationship with your lender, if you don't know who it is that's making your decision, yeah, I would highly recommend that you go and meet with them.
Yeah.
Open up an account. Say, hey, I want to buy a car. What do I need to do today to buy a car a year from today?
Yes.
Or what can I do today to get qualified for a house 2 years from today?
That's right.
And build that relationship with the lenders themselves so that when it is time to make that decision, people are more than just a number.
That's right.
And people make payments. Credit scores don't make payments.
Right.
Right. So I would just highly encourage you that not all banks and credit unions are the same. And the Wells Fargos and the Bank of Americas of the world are not the same as your local community organization. So I would encourage you to get with your local lender and say, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing. How can I get there, and what can you do to help me?
And that's exactly right. And what I found is doing business with Coosa Valley Credit Union for all these years is that when my customers come back, they always know your branch manager's name.
Right.
They know who loaned them that money because that personal relationship, they'll go get the loan for the vehicle they're purchasing from us. Well, while they're there, they just got another one refinanced at a lower rate, or they're always looking. Your people are always looking for thinking outside the box. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you guys something. That's something that's super rare in the lending industry, is a lender that will think outside of the box. They're not just going by a program right in front of them. They look for different ways to help people. And I think that's one of the things that makes Coosa Valley very unique.
Well, I appreciate it. And again, and same goes for you. I mean, we all know the pitfalls that exist in the car business, right?
Yes.
And we know that there are some companies that may not have the integrity that they ought to.
Right.
And we appreciate the relationship with you, and we know that at the end of the day, you're going to do what's right, and you're going to make decisions with integrity.
Yes.
And that's important in the car business as well as the loan and money business.
That's exactly right. That's right. And so I appreciate you. I thank you guys for joining us here today. I hope we've shared some insightful things with you that's going to help you. If it doesn't help you today, hopefully we've given you some things that you can start working towards on your credit. And listen, it's never too late to start. It's never too late to restart. So if no matter where you're at in your stages of life as we know it, I want to encourage you that it can always be better than it is today.